age-old nemesis in a world of chaos and a time of darkness when evil is set to prevail.
Like I tell my guys on the team all the time, if you had invested in Terra 18 months earlier, you were up 300x.
A world under threat from indescribable evil.
Cardano, ADA, was an $80 billion market cap. And so I would look at stocks that were at $80 billion market caps and be like, what do I trust more in the next 2 years? That this stock's gonna make profits and return things to their investors, or their Cardano ecosystem is gonna become the dominant ecosystem of all of crypto. It's like, I'll go with the stock and short Cardano.
There is a secret that men have sought since the beginning of time.
If you've got some lending or you're giving a return, you may well be an investment company like BlockFi with 670,000 customers. And some of these lending platforms literally have millions of customers, and they're pooling all that together. If you're running yield farming or staking, that's STAKING, but staking, you're offering a yield, you're providing something.
At Consensus, we've been, Consensus with a Y, we've been building staking infrastructure, industrial staking infrastructure, and we're doing that in the service of making it available via MetaMask and MetaMask Institutional to individuals, to small organizations. So
when the world is out of balance and is slipping towards disaster.
A lot of commercial banks aren't terribly excited about that. Maybe you're going to have to give some ownership. Maybe you'll have to give 50% of your ownership to the 20 banks that are now, part of this. I mean, there are other ways to build incentive systems. Maybe you put a native token in there, and you give them the native token. So there may be other incentive ways to beat the current monopolist. But having been around commercial banks for a long time, they really are looking for ways to replace their aggregators in their back office, whether it's clearing, settlement, exchanges, credit agencies, but they are deeply understanding that every idea that's pitched to them is somebody who currently is small but wants to get big and gain market power. So they're also always thinking about how to ensure that there's a check to slow down your startup from gaining market power 5, 10, and 15 years from now. They don't want you to be the next clearinghouse like the Chicago Mercantile Exchange or Intercontinental Exchange. They don't want you to be the next central node of market power. So you might share some of that with them, or you might find an incentive system.
I learned if you're a rich guy, you don't break the rules. Right? So I was like, I could buy OTC. And so I end up calling Vitalik. I met once, didn't really know me, and I bought Ethereum from Vitalik.
You OTC'd ETH from Vitalik?
At 96 cents. I'm not going to tell you how much, but it's not an insignificant amount. Yeah. Okay, but Ethereum they haven't cooled on yet. I bet dimes to donuts. They will say Ethereum probably was a security, but it's not anymore.
Ethereum's early advantage is apparent in so many ways. One is a regulatory advantage in that Ethereum and Bitcoin arrived on the scene before regulators were watching, and which islands were we going to buy, and what were we going to do with these hundreds of millions of dollars that people were going to drop on us. So we took a little time to explore those issues, and also the main issue, which we realized was, would we be selling unregistered securities to Americans? We took a little pause. It was a 7-month pause. I drove lots of the legal work. We got a piece of paper in our pocket before we actually launched the token sale, and
He has been chosen. The road is dark.
Can I ask you a question about XRP? This is something that I've been invested in for a long time, and they've obviously had, they are going through some issues. How do you feel about XRP?
I've never liked the XRP token, and so why is it going up? Crypto communities are like sports fans. Have you ever been to an English football game? Literally, their mouths they make Philadelphia Eagles fans look polite. But there's tribal nature, and over years the XRP army has built up a real community of people that really want to believe it. It reminds me a little bit of Trump supporters. So you could tell them anything.
In a world of chaos and a time of darkness, when evil is set to prevail, when a lone warrior, when a mighty empire embarks upon the ultimate conquest, every weapon is powerless against it, and every army faces defeat.
So the simple view is, let's combine the best components of what XRP represents, which is extremely fast settlement, with some of the best components of what Ethereum represents, smart contracts, as well as something they call Avalanche for consensus. And that helps extend XRP's utility and allows developers to create smart contracts for new use cases like lending, like derivatives. So, I think it's super exciting to watch the Flare, the team there build what they're building. I think it is early days, but I think it's indicative of all the different ways that you can use the XRP ledger and the advantages the XRP ledger has relative to some other blockchains.
Only the bravest and best can make a stand, and only the indomitable human spirit can give them the will to win.
So there's a lot of discussion for a long time between Ripple and the SEC on whether Ripple itself, XRP, was a security. Or is a security. That's actually an important term. Is it a security? The SEC back in 2018, through one of its top staffers, made the declaration, and this is hotly contested in the Ripple case, but made the comment that Bitcoin is not a security, and also said that Ether, as it existed, and this is 2018 timeframe, is not a security. But it was as of that date and time. Never cleared Ether when it was originally launched, when the Ethereum blockchain was launched. Did not clear Ether as being a security then. So what's been the issue here? And I'll keep it quite simple, because it's actually over 100-page complaint that the SEC filed in the federal courts. And what's really at issue here is the way Ripple was created, or the XRP, the token, and the way it was held in the corporate treasury, and the way it was used over time was the way a company uses a security. It was used for compensation. It was used for doing deals, for whatever it might be. And the SEC complaint, very well researched, well documented. As I said, it's over 100 pages long. It's a fascinating read if you ever want to have an idea of how the SEC builds a case as to whether something is a security. But this case has now been in the federal courts for over a year. There's been a lot of back and forth. We have communities that are, we have the Bitcoin maximalists. I imagine there are a few of you here in this room, but they're also Ripple maximalists. But this is still out there. And to be honest with you, I think as this case goes, I think the SEC is sitting on a number of other cases that have the same kind of issue underlying it. And where probably the potential plaintiffs or defendants in those cases have signed statute of limitations waivers. Because guess what? If you count 2017, when a lot of these ICOs happened, it's 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22. Whoa, that's 5 years. Statute of limitations is about to run on a bunch of these. So the question is, how big is their pile of statute of limitation waivers that they have sitting there, all sort of timed off of what's going to happen with this case. So it's an important case. It's going to be a watershed. It may or may not go to the Supreme Court, but it's certainly worth watching.
But finding a hero is only the beginning. The battle lies ahead, and the clock of doom is ticking towards midnight. By unimaginable powers, every weapon is powerless against it.
I use Amazon sometimes. I tell this story. I was in school in 1996, and Jeff Bezos came to our class to talk about Amazon and what he's building. And what's interesting is when you rewind the clock, and Frank, I am older than you. When you rewind the clock that far, it wasn't called Amazon. It was called Amazon Books. It was a bookseller. And today we talk about Amazon as everything from A to Z, but at the time it was just a bookseller. And when I think about Ripple's macro strategy, I think about it as there are lots of different vertical use cases for blockchain technologies. We have decided to use the XRP ledger, which is extremely efficient in terms of speed, in terms of cost, per transaction. We've focused on solving a cross-border payments problem. You could almost say Amazon is to books as Ripple is to cross-border payments. When we think about other verticals and other products, we've started to see glimmers of that, right? We announced a product, I think in the last couple months, we announced this product called Line of Credit. And look, the point I'm making is that Amazon started with books and entered other verticals using their tech stack, and ultimately, obviously, started selling the tech stack with AWS. When I think about what Ripple's doing, we will certainly enter other vertical markets, and we won't just be a cross-border payment solution.
The reward? Power beyond the wildest dreams to a place that will blow your mind.
Hi, I'm Monica Long. I'm a general manager at Ripple. I joined crypto about 8 years ago when I joined Ripple, and what brought me in was the co-founder, Chris Larsen, sold me on his vision for an Internet of Value, which today we talk about as Web3. So it's this idea that using crypto and blockchain as new infrastructure for the Internet, we can achieve the efficiency, the fairness, the democratic nature of what the Internet has brought us for communication, same for value movement and exchange. We are here to support developers and builders working toward that Internet of Value future, building on XRP Ledger, which is a really efficient and carbon neutral very robust layer 1 ledger, one of the first alt-chains, been operating for 10 years. And in the NFT space, what we're doing is we've built a really simple, scalable, sustainable new standard for NFTs on XRP Ledger. And we've launched a creator fund alongside that to support creators bringing their projects to the ledger. It's a $250 million creator fund. Web2 platforms are all rent takers and friction makers. So they're the intermediaries standing between the creator and their fan communities. So the revolution here is about bringing ownership back to the creators, giving them the empowerment to really monetize their work, and also more directly connecting them with their fan communities. It's not just about the royalties for the art piece itself, for example, it's the new monetization opportunities with that community. So we're not going to go from Web 2 to Web 3 overnight, and there's going to be an evolution, more of the masses into NFTs and Web 3. Simple things like self-custody. I mean, I've been in this space, right? You've been in this space for a long time, and it scares the shit out of me. It's still really hard. I will say the thing I'm most excited about a Web3 future is decentralized identity.
Across the oceans of time and space, only a chosen few can make the journey to win the ultimate prize.
We are advocating to think about this world of digital money as a global public good. And in a recent discussion in Zurich, where we both were, what we advocated for is to have a public platform. So when protocols are agreed, this public platform can connect different CBDCs. There can be interoperability, the same way you would transfer euros from one country to another. You do it using CBDCs.
Only the bravest and the best, the one who must stake everything. But do you have the vision to find that pathway to the limits of the imagination to win the ultimate prize?
A mission focused on enabling payments everywhere, every way, for everyone.
With the power to resist the forces of darkness, the battle lies ahead. Who will take on the fearsome burden of his destiny, the will to win?